Tom Brady wanted to win so bad that he invited the biggest idiot in the NFL into his home, into his, like, ethics, morality, none of it matters. It's a bad look for Tom Brady. This conversation we're about to have, you won't see it anyplace else. No place else will they have this conversation, and it's a real one. Antonio Brown is over in, is he in Dubai somewhere? He's in a pool. He's whipping his thing out, appears to be pleasuring himself in front of other hotel guests. And, you know, my immediate thoughts did not go to Antonio Brown because nothing Antonio Brown did there or was accused of doing, none of it surprised me. This dude is a nut job and a predator. He's had a bunch of women accuse him of being sexually inappropriate with them. Some doctor talking about he pulled his pants down or something farted in his face. And just, he's an inappropriate, predatory person that is unhinged. And so my first thoughts when I was reading that story, I was like, Tom Brady invited this dude into his house? That's how bad he wanted to win? And I was like, his wife, his kids live there? And again, I know they got a big estate and they can keep Antonio Brown in one wing, and who knows how many days Antonio Brown was actually there, or if it was just, but the whole my whole thought just went to Tom Brady wanted to win so bad that he invited the biggest idiot in the NFL into his home, into his, like, ethics, morality, none of it matters. It's a bad look for Tom Brady. I'm sorry. And this is where Royce White talks about it all the time, and I love it when he says no sacred honor. And that's what's missing with men. We have no sacred honor. To get material success, to have career success, there's no lines we won't cross. Oh, we got to get in bed with Antonio Brown, invite him into our home around our wife and kids. We'll do that. If O.J. Simpson could still run the football, we'll bring him on the team. It just doesn't. And it doesn't sound crazy. I'm telling you, Antonio Brown is an idiot capable of harming himself and others, capable of taking advantage of Jesse Washington worked at The Undefeated, and ESPN wrote a piece about Antonio Brown 5-6 years ago that when I got done reading that article, I was like, this dude's a nut job. This dude's a bad person. This dude is not someone you want to bring in to your situation and camp. And so if Tom Brady is everything he's supposed to be and having had all the success that he's had, he should have wanted to have nothing to do with Antonio Brown, in my opinion. He's had plenty of success. He didn't need to team up with one of the worst guys in professional sports to get a 7th Super Bowl. He didn't need to do that. That's greed. That's just no sacred honor. Steve, I'm not going to start with you. I'm going to start with Virgil. My take on, am I going too far? Look, because, again, I have no expectations for Antonio Brown.
Sure.
I have some for Tom Brady, and he did. This makes it a bad look for him.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. It absolutely is a bad look. One of the thoughts that I had initially was the position that Tom was in when this whole thing initially unfolded. I mean, here Antonio Brown had made just a mess of himself everywhere he went. Tom, again, to the point you're making, wants to win another Super Bowl and embraces him, and that's applauded. And the reason that it's applauded is because of the woke culture in the NFL, right? There's no accountability for his actions, little to nothing said about him. In fact, you had better not say anything about him, because if you do, about Antonio Brown, because if you do, you may be attacking the fact that he has mental issues. There may be some issues that are going on in his mind that cause him not to be able to function appropriately, and that's a bad look. And so no one can really be effective in articulating what the problem is, or that he shouldn't be dealt with. So on the one hand, and you have Tom, who says he embraces him, brings him in, and allows him to really implode all by himself. I wouldn't have let anybody like that in my house. There's no way in the world, given his background, I would have let anyone close to my wife, my children, or I don't care how big my estate was. I'd be concerned that there would be a party going on that I'd have to, circle back and find out about. Add to that the fact that Antonio Brown, this was last chance you right here. This was his last opportunity to really make a difference. And what did he do with it? He actually threw it away. No thought, no sacred honor. I love the point you make in that I've got the man who's considered the GOAT, who's invited me onto the team. Maybe I should act right, if not for my own sake. If I don't have enough respect for myself, I would at least have respect for the person who brought me on and honor what they did. He absolutely did none of that. Again, none of what I see or have seen since is surprising. I don't think anybody else is surprised by it.
Steve?
Yeah, Antonio Brown and Dwight in that pool gives new meaning to the term cover zero. Here's what I think. Number one, Tom Brady wants to win. So by any means necessary, he was going to try to help and bring upon that guy to the roster because he believes, hey, there's self-interest here. And for the team, he's going to help us win. And they did win a Super Bowl, even though he really wasn't the player he was in Pittsburgh. But I think the lesson here that is to be learned is that work is work and home is home. And you should never really intersect the two. And you're right. In retrospect, it's a terrible look because who you bring into your home around your family, friends, and loved ones, I think does say a lot about you. And I really do wonder if that's one of the issues of him and Giselle saying, good grief. And it's not just specifically about AB, but it's really about this is the stuff like I've been a football wife for a decade and a half now. I even did this for you because, when a relationship breaks down, in my opinion, like a marriage, it's not always just the big things. There's a phrase that Mario Cristobal uses I think is so true. There are no little things. They all matter. A thing is a thing. And I just wonder if that's just one of those little things like, hey, Tom, not only are you playing another year, we brought in AB to be in our guest home. Like, when is enough enough? So you're right. In retrospect, given the fact that there are some serious issues with Antonio Brown, yeah, it's a bad look. And Jason, I got to ask you a question. At what point is the CTE thing going to be thrown on Antonio Brown to basically excuse all of his behavior while demonizing the National Football League? I actually think that's the next step. I'm surprised it hasn't happened sooner.
Well, a lot of people love to say, oh, he hasn't been the same since the Burfict hit. And those people are uninformed and just haven't done the research. And this, again, I go back, I can't remember how many years ago it was, but I'm telling you, Jesse Washington at The Undefeated wrote a terrific story that in exposing things he was doing before the Burfict hit. And then if you understand AB's background, getting kicked out of his home as a child, this guy was not raised well, came up in a very dysfunctional. There was a reason why he could have all of that talent and had down in Florida, all of that talent down in Florida, and had to go to Mount Pleasant, Michigan, Central Michigan University to get a football scholarship. There's a reason why. He's been a headache and a nightmare everywhere he's went. When he was in Pittsburgh, they covered up for all of his headache and nightmare in an attempt to win. He betrayed those people, Mike Tomlin most especially. There's a history and a pattern here with Antonio Brown. Here's what I'll say. The other card that'll get played is like, well, how's this any different than Michael Jordan and Dennis Rodman? The Chicago Bulls sold out everything to bring Dennis Rodman on their team and put up with all of his nuttiness. And trust me, Dennis Rodman is a nut job. And Dennis Rodman is, maybe we didn't hear about, but he's capable of pulling out his thing in front of some people at a pool in Dubai, no different than AB. We didn't hear, who knows what the case was, these kind of domestic issues when Dennis Rodman and all the issues, but, the media wasn't the same back when Dennis Rodman was playing. You could have more of a crazy off-field professional life as long as you don't kill Ron and Nicole, it was all good. Or,
Jason,
kill your baby mama like Ray Caruth.
Real quickly, last word
it was
about
a different
Rodman.
time.
Yeah, we'll wrap this in a bow here. Look, Dennis Rodman is a self-promoter. AB is self-destructive. I think there's a huge difference They're kind of the same, but not really. Not in my opinion.